people have been executed in February 2023. Let's see what were the crimes they committed, as well as their last words and last meals. Wesley Lynn Ruiz, 43 years old, executed on February 1, 2023, after 16 years on death row in the state of Texas. Ruiz was a drug dealer and gang member in the western Dallas metro region. He was 27 years old on Friday, March 22, 2007, when the DPD Murder Division reported that a 1996 Chevy Caprice with 4 doors, tinted windows, and chrome wheels was related to a horrifying crime that had occurred 2 days earlier. Detectives spotted the car on the Stemmons Freeway and asked for help. The car's driver, Ruiz, had an AR-15. As Mark Nix, 33 years old, responded to the report from his colleagues in the murder division, he observed the car driving along Mockingbird Lane to the west of the Dallas metropolitan region. The policeman approached, and just behind him was Wesley Lynn Ruiz's car. Ruiz tried to joke around with the on-Spurs DPD cops. He accelerated the Chevy Caprice unevenly before abruptly coming to a stop. The police were on the verge of ramming the car they were chasing many times at full speed. Every detail was filmed by patrol cameras. During the high-speed pursuit, Wesley Lynn Ruiz struck a curb, quickly lost control of the Chevy Caprice, and the car sped up a sloped field next to the road. The only police car that followed the gang member's vehicle was Officer Mark Nix. The blow and the angle of the slope caused Wesley Lynn Ruiz's car to become trapped. Patrolman Mark Nix fearlessly jumped out of his squad car and chased the Chevy Caprice. His life was suddenly taken by a hail of gunfire. Ruiz was also shot by the DPD officers, and in spite of all the gunshots, they were able to evacuate their badly wounded comrade from the crime scene. Tension rose as Ruiz kept shooting the officers with his AR-15. Paramedics from the Dallas Fire Department arrived promptly. Yet, despite their best efforts, the brave officer died while undergoing treatment in the emergency hospital. Before appearing in court, Wesley Lynn Ruiz sought medical attention for his injuries. He received the death penalty in Dallas County 1 year after murdering Officer Mark Nix. There was no final meal granted in Ruiz's case since he was on death row in Texas, where the last meal is no longer a privilege offered to the inmates. In a final statement, Ruiz said, "I would like to apologize to Mark and the Nix family. I hope this brings you closure. I want to say to all my family and friends around the world, thank you for supporting me. To my kids, stand tall and continue to make me proud. Don't worry about me. I'm going to be okay." Leonard Sheldon Taylor, 58 years old, executed on February 7, 2023, after 18 years on death row in the state of Missouri. On December 3, 2004, Angela Rowe and her 3 children's remains were discovered at Rowe's residence. The officers had to force their way inside the house through a bedroom window since it was locked. The air conditioner was set to 50 degrees and the television was on. Newspapers were in front of the yard and mail was in the mailbox. Rowe had sustained 4 gunshot wounds in total, 2 to her left arm, 1 to her chest, and 1 fatal one to her head, according to an autopsy. Tyrese Conley, age 5, Alexis Conley, age 10, and Akria Conley, age 6, all suffered fatal gunshot wounds to the head. The medical examiner determined that they had been dead for 2 to 3 weeks. In addition to being married to a California resident, Debreen Williams, Taylor was also in a relationship with Rowe at the time of her passing. Taylor called his brother on November 23rd and begged him for money. He also claimed to have killed Angela during a dispute and planned to kill the kids. He claimed that he turned on the air conditioner when asked how he was still in the house with the remains several days later. At the home of a different girlfriend in Madisonville, Kentucky, on December 9th, Taylor was arrested. Police were keeping an eye on the place and they saw him leave the house and he was laying on the floorboard of a car. A bloodstain on one of 3 pairs of Taylor's sunglasses that police found in his suitcase eventually matched Rowe's blood according to a DNA test. His last meal consisted in a seafood platter, cheeseburger, French fries, cheesecake, and vanilla ice cream. Once the 5 grams of pentobarbital were injected, Taylor kicked his feet and took 5 or 6 heavy breaths before ceasing all motion. Taylor's last word was, "Muslims live eternally in the hearts of our family and friends. That is your destiny. It is not your enemy. We anticipate meeting it. Peace." John Lizelle Balentine, 54 years old, executed on February 8, 2023, after 26 years on death row in the state of Texas. Early on January 21, 1998, Balentine, carrying a .32 automatic pistol, climbed through a window to enter a home that he once lived in with Misty Taylor. Once inside, Balentine shot and killed 3 teens while they slept. Stephen Brady Watson, 15 years old, Kai Geyer, 15 years old, and Mark Kaler Jr., 17 years old, Misty's brother. Each victim received a gunshot wound to the head. Balentine confessed to the crimes after he was caught in Houston after escaping to New Mexico. In a recorded statement to police that was played at his 1999 trial, Balentine said that he left the home because there was a lot of drug use in there. He described how the brother of his then girlfriend planned to kill him first, so he sneaked inside the house and shot the teenagers one by one. A nearby resident called 911 after hearing a gunshot. When questioned by an officer who responded to the report while Balentine was 50 years away, strolling down the street, he gave a false identity. After finding an unfired .32 caliber bullet in Balentine's pocket, the police let him go because carrying a bullet wasn't illegal. After learning of the triple homicide later that day, it took the police 6 months to track down Balentine. No special final meal granted since he was on Texas death row. According to the Associated Press, Balentine appeared cheerful when witnesses entered the death chamber. He reportedly asked someone standing close to the gurney to remove the sheet covering his lower 2/3 of his body and give him a foot massage before laughing. Balentine made a brief statement after a short prayer from a spiritual advisor who was holding his left foot. "Yes, ma'am, I want to thank y'all. I love y'all for supporting me. I want to apologize for the wrong I did to y'all. Forgive me. I'm ready, ma'am." He turned to face 7 family members of his 3 victims, including the mothers of all 3, and apologized, saying, "I hope you can find in your heart to forgive me." Balentine snored loudly twice. He yawned and then drew 2 breaths as the lethal dose of pentobarbital started running through IV needles in his arms. The snores grew quieter before ceasing. By 6:36 p.m., 15 minutes after the medications had been injected, he was declared dead. Before leaving the execution room, witnesses exchanged high fives. These included Kaler's sister, who was once Balentine's girlfriend. Donald Dilbeck, 59 years old, executed on February 23rd after 32 years on death row in the state of Florida. Dilbeck was sentenced to death after being found guilty of killing Faye Lamb Van in a parking lot of a Tallahassee mall in 1990. In Gadsden County, where he was serving a life sentence for the 1979 murder of Lee County Deputy Dwight Lynn Hall, 31 years old, when he was only 15 years old, Dilbeck had fled from a work-release catering job. According to court records, he traveled to Tallahassee and attempted to carjack a vehicle. When Van, who was in the car waiting for her family, resisted being attacked, she was tragically stabbed. Dilbeck was the first prisoner executed in Florida since 2019 and the 100th inmate since 1975. 32 years after being given the death penalty by a judge, Donald Dilbeck awoke early on the last day of his life. According to Department of Prison spokeswoman Michelle Glady, he carried out his regular activities. She claimed that he had a meeting with his spiritual guide. His final meal was fried shrimp, mushrooms, onion rings, butter pecan ice cream, pecan pie, and a chocolate bar, which he consumed around 9:45 a.m. Dilbeck delivered his final remarks prior to being executed on Thursday, attacking Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his policies. "I know I hurt people when I was young. I really messed up. But I know Ron DeSantis has done a lot worse. He's taken a lot from a lot of people. I speak for all men, women, and children. He's put his foot on our necks." Then he insulted DeSantis and others like him. Last month, on the same day he proposed amending Florida law to require a supermajority rather than an unanimous verdict from a jury, DeSantis signed Dilbeck's death warrant. There were 2 other people scheduled to be executed in February. Stanley Fitzpatrick's execution was reprieved. The new date of execution has been moved to April 16, 2026. Richard Glossip's execution was rescheduled for May 18, 2023. In March, there were 6 people initially scheduled to be executed, but again, one was reprieved and another one was rescheduled. At this time, Gary Green, Arthur Brown, Charles Lorraine, and Annibal Canales Jr. are waiting for the capital punishment to be carried out next month. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.